So what's this video all about? We are going to buy a cheap second-hand car, probably something priced under £1,000. We are then going to do any necessary repairs to that car, then we're going to market it appropriately and we're going to make some money off it. That's the whole point here. Bit about me, my background is I used to run a classic car sales company. We used to restore and sell classic cars and sports cars. We also did some modern cars as well. So that's my background, that's why you should listen to me. And I hope you enjoy this little project I'm doing for you guys. There's a lot you can learn here. So yeah, stay tuned. Watch the several episodes, I imagine this will be, of this series. And yeah, let's see what happens. Let's do this together, guys. Woo! In this episode, finding good cars using eBay or Gumtree. How to spot accident damage. What's panel alignment and why is panel alignment important? Stay tuned.
Okay, so let's go find our cheap car. Alright, so obviously we start off by going to eBay. It's worth signing in if you've got a login. Of course you'll need a login to bid on the actual items, so make sure you sign in at this stage. My tip for you would be, this is how I always start, by typing in the word Scirocco. That is because Sciroccos will appear in cars and classic cars. So by searching for Scirocco, we can then narrow it down to the cars, motorcycles and vehicles category by clicking there. If we would have gone into cars, we would have missed all the classic cars, which obviously we do not want to do, because there's a good markup on the classic cars, even the 80s ones. Okay, so price filter. Here we're looking for cars under £1,000, so we shall type in £1,000 there. Press enter or return. Those are the cars under £1,000. What we also want to do is adjust this thing here, the vehicle mileage. First of all, we're going to look for low mileage cars, stuff that's only done maybe 80,000 miles from new. So we can set that by clicking see all. We select 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and we can select 75 to 99 as well. Deliberately not selecting this category because a lot of people enter their mileage in single figures. So for example, if a car's done 150,000 miles, they will simply enter the count as 150. So loads of high mileage cars actually come up in that category. So we're going to avoid it. Okay, so click apply, and importantly we're going to sort by distance as well. Obviously the cars closest to me are going to be much more appealing. Now, I know we started with the word Scirocco, but this is where we can get rid of it. So just delete the word Scirocco by pressing the delete button, and press return, enter or hit the search button. So, what we've got now is we are looking at all of the cars, motorcycles and vehicles, so classic cars and modern cars, that have less than 100,000 miles on the clock and that are also under £1,000 to buy, sorted by distance. So, now we can browse and see what there is about for sale. I'll pull up a couple of listings for you of some good cars and some bad cars based on what's read in the listing, and show you how it's done. So here's an example of a good car. Okay, it's up for $995, so it's at the top end of our budget, and to be honest it's pretty much top money for the car. So there's no profit to be made in this car, but just to give you an example of what is a good car by looking at this all important area of the listings on eBay. In this area you will be able to see how many previous owners the car's had. In this case just one, fantastic news. You will be able to see the mileage the car's done. In this case it's just 60,000, again that is excellent. And you will be able to see the MOT expiry date. You can see this one is 2016 and the 8th, so there's a long MOT left to run on that. Looking at the photos, there's not a lot you can tell from these photos to be honest, but all the panels appear to be the same colour. which so there's no obvious sign of any accident damage there, and you can't really tell how good the panel alignment is on the car. I'll move on to panel alignment in a bit, so I'll explain that in a bit more depth for you soon. Here we are, we have a Ford Kuga V6, and this is a no reserve auction, and it started off at a penny. You can tell it's a no reserve auction because it doesn't say reserve not met under the price, or it doesn't say reserve not met next to the price. We therefore know there's no reserve on this. So it could go for £10, could go for £1,000, we don't know. Okay, so this Puma, sorry not Puma, it's a Kuga. Puma is the smaller version of this. They were released around about the same time. Both very good cars, but there's not much of a market for the Kuga, to be honest, because it's got a big thirsty V6. This one doesn't look too bad. We've got a missing piece of trim by the mirror there. Back end, a couple of marks and scratches, doesn't look too bad. Panel alignment, which I mentioned before, is basically the gap between panels. So we're looking at the boot lid of this car, where it's got the Ford badge, the Kuga badge and the V6, and we're looking at the gap between that and the lights and the rest of the bodywork. As you can see, down both sides, the gap on the left hand side is equal to the gap on the right. That shows us that the car has probably not been involved in a rear end shunt. If it had been involved in a rear end shunt, then the panel alignment would be odd on one side. It's got a leather interior, which doesn't look too worn. It's quite nice really. It's done 90,000 miles, it's had 2 previous owners, and importantly it's got a long MOT till September next year. We also know by looking at the listing that it's recently been serviced, so yeah, it could be worth a bid this. Realistically, in very good condition, a Kuga like this would only sell for about £400, £450. So unless we get it for around about £200, there's really not much point in buying it.
Next episode, we continue the search for a good car. I show you what some bad cars are on eBay, some bad listings, the cars to avoid, which ones to go for. And also, we look at classic cars as well as sports cars, why you should consider a sports car or a classic car. Stay tuned, subscribe for more.